Welcome back to Cards and Comics, guys. One of the challenges of being a collector is always trying to find ways to display your cards. And one of the most challenging cards to display are oversized cards, right? So I did a video a couple months ago where I talked about these holders from Collect 3D. And I have switched all of my holders for my cards to this because I like two things: how sturdy they are and how well the cards stand up in them. So it's one of those things where, they're easy to use. I'll throw a card in one. You can kind of see, but it's like, it's something you can actually use, so quickly, and you just snap in, right? And they hold just like that, and they're very stable. You can bounce it around, it doesn't fall backwards. You can kind of hit it, and you can bang it, bang it, bang it. It won't fall over. And you have to hit it pretty hard to get these to fall over. They'll slide around, but they won't fall over. And they look really good on the shelf. And I'll show you kind of in a minute what that looks like on my shelf for these kind of cards. And this is just a card I threw in here. This is a Derek Cheater blue refractor from 99 Finest. But a challenge for me has been finding a card holder to put on my shelf that can fit one of these big guys. So you can just see the difference in card size. It's tremendous. Now, the guys at Collect 3D have said they've made a few special print runs of bigger cards, bigger holders for cards like this, but they don't have them as a standard card. So I reached out to my buddy Doug, Joe Wood Collector, who, by the way, guys, me and Doug have created a new channel. It's called Past and Present Cardboard. I've been issuing videos on that for that channel, or for that, for that new YouTube channel on my channel until we got up a new channel up and running. The new Past and Present Cardboard channel is running, guys. So I'm going to put a link to it. If you want to see videos of me and Doug and talking about collectible things and talk about 90s and pre-war cards, that kind of thing, please go to that channel. See what's there. We've got 3 videos posted. I have them on my channel. I also have them on this new channel. So, but Doug, when I said, hey man, like, I'm having a hard time finding ways to display my pre-war cards, my big cards. He said, well, I've been buying these holders from a company called the Card Stand, and they're on eBay. Card Stand, and they're $2.50. You get 4 for $10. So, and here's what they look like. They're very simple. They feel like they're 3D printed, so they're not injection molded. They look like they're 3D printed, but they might be injection molded, but just based on the feel. Well, we could talk to the owner maybe one of these days. So I got them in and I tried them out, and I found a couple of things. One is PSA has changed their holder on the big cards, and it changes how the cards look in this holder. So I'm going to show you right now why that works. So here is my 68 3D Clemente, or my 68 Action. I'll try to move the camera down so you can kind of see a little bit what I'm talking about. So there you go. It's kind of like, this is the angle, right? If I pit my new 57 Cons Clemente and the same holder, what you get when you put them side by side is an angle gap. See that? They're at 2 different angles. And I'm trying to step back here. I know I got a little bit of camera glare or light glare, but you can see they're at 2 different angles. Kind of move that over. You can kind of see that. So, and that's nothing to do with the holder. That's everything to do with PSA and them changing their holders over the years. And that makes a challenge to get a holder on the shelf that looks the same. So what I've done, so I've got these 2 cards, and I want to display them side by side. So what I've done is I made a little hack here, and I'm going to show you how it works, and hopefully it works on these holders like I did before. Is I take these little compound strips, or command strips, which have, a sticky side, right? And I kind of cut them in half, like this. That was a little bit big, but I think it'll still work. And I take the sticky side off, and I put it on the back side here on this, put it right here for one, and then I do it again for the other. And what this does is it creates a little bit of an angle change. You can clean it up to make it a little less visible This is just kind of for you guys to see how it changes that angle on that card here. So now I put this card in. I put this card in. And now we have a little bit more. And I can kind of play with it to get that angle, but I can push it back a little bit. But now we have less of an angle gap. See that? Pretty much, you know, I'll go back here. Now I've got two cards that are kind of at the same angle. And I can, you know, play with it a little bit, but the whole point is like, it looks a lot better when they're side by side. You know, instead of having that massive angle gap, I now have a card and I can kind of push it back a little bit. And I got two cards that are on shelf that look much better. Now I'm going to show you my display. So I'm going to turn around. You can see how my Clementes all look, you know, start here. There's 3D. So as I go down, you can see the angle of that Collect 3D holder. And that's why I like it, because as I look at my cards, you can see the holder, you can read the grade and everything. So I'm going to go down on this bottom shelf here. I'm going to get on my knees here. Hopefully not. But there's the two holders in question. So again, there's that 57 cons Maz. And you see how it has an angle much more similar to the Collect 3D. And then there is my 64 my 64 Giant Clemente. You see that gap there, and you see how the angle is so much more relaxed. And then when you're standing up like this to look down, you can't even see the flip. See that? So that's why I'm kind of changing the angle on these cards a little bit on these holders. And honestly, you know, it's hard to find these big holders like this that will actually work perfectly. You know, so you have to make some adjustments if you want the cards to all look the same. Because again, there's two things going on. PSA's change their holder so that they're thicker. So it changes the angle in that holder. You can just see it when you look at the two cards kind of side by side. They're not the same. So they sit differently in the holder. So that's sort of like, you know, what I found works the best. I'm very OCD on how I want my cards to look. I want them to have a better angle. I want them to have more an angle like this. So when I put, you know, these two cards side by side here, they're going to have more of a similar angle. See that when you see the cards face first like this? So I think that is, which is, you know, that holder is different than this holder, right? Or, you know, from PSA. So again, trying to do something like this, so they all have very similar angles is what I'm trying to get to. So I know it's not, you know, everyone's biggest deal. Like, ooh, like the holders aren't quite the same angle. But on shelf, when you put them on next to each other like that, you saw that 64 Giant, they just don't look good, you know, and I want them all displayed very nicely. And again, I can have them all sitting there at different angles, but you just saw when you have two different PSA holders, they're going to sit at different angles. So it's sort of my hack. I mean, these little command strips are cheap. You can use other things. Like at first I tried to use a penny and a dime to get a different angle. You might be able to use just, you know, a little piece of cardboard, a little piece of felt to do the same thing, to get that angle to be exactly where you want it to be. Honestly, you know, if I was going to design the perfect holder, I would design one of these holders to have a little hinge here, a little something where you could adjust this angle here, you know, like where you could move it back and forth a little bit to make that angle different. You know, where you could put this on put this piece where you could maybe move it back and forth a little bit. So you could adjust the angle, because it's not just the fact that they have a set angle. It's the fact that PSA's holders are now so different between old and new holders that it's changed how these cards sit in the thickness of the holder and everything. We'll make it where these cards won't, you know, sit the same. So, you know, is there a perfect holder out there? No. I think even this holder, I made the same comment that this doesn't have any adjustable angle to it. So again, I think, you know, if someone wanted to make the perfect holder, it would be one that had that, you know, let's say this stability with some flexibility in the angle. So right now there's nothing perfect out there. There's some stuff out there that was older that I've seen that does adjust the angle a little bit, but they're very flimsy and they also are very top heavy. So, you know, we don't have a perfect holder yet. I think someone can make a little bit of money if they design something that had these traits, but a little bit more flexible. But there are workarounds. And again, if you're OCD like I am, you want all their cards to sit next to each other and have the same angle and kind of have the same look. And that's what I'm doing. So let me know what you think in the comments. They're definitely good holders. They're definitely stable. But again, with both PSA changing the angle, and if you're going to put SGC cards next to PSA cards, you may have to do a little hack here to get everything to look the same. So that's my video. Hope you like it. And again, it's the card stand. It's on eBay if you want to order them. These are Collect 3D. So let me know what you think in the comments. And I'll see you next time on Cards and Comics. Bye.